So in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about an email that most of us sellers received a few days ago. And it's a email from eBay. It's a joint venture email from eBay and bulk.com entitled "A New Sourcing Solution for Your eBay Business." So the purpose of this video is so that I can give you the information you need to know about bulk.com before you go out and buy a lot of this merchandise. It may just save you a lot of time and money. So without any further ado, let's go. What was it, about Wednesday? Received an email from eBay, and it's about this bulk.com eBay venture. And initially it kind of threw me back because I don't know why eBay would partner with this particular liquidation company. I recall when bulk.com came of business, I believe it was about 2 or 3 years ago. And I decided to give them a shot. So I bought a pallet of liquidation. It came into like a Gaylord. And I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I just wanted to be able to get some kind of product I can sell. I didn't want to go to Walmart or to Target and do the whole retail arbitrage kind of thing. And I thought it was a good idea to invest in a pallet. So we did that. And so initially, though, we got the pallet, and it was customer returns, and it was general merchandise. So I didn't know what to expect. And I don't really recall what I paid. I'm sure I didn't get a good deal on it, knowing now what I didn't know back then. But hopefully this video will help educate you in maybe knowing what to look for. I'm not saying that everything that they have to sell is garbage. I'm not saying that. But if you use them as your primary source on eBay, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. I can tell you that much. And I can also tell you, if you're interested in building a nice death pile in your garage, then definitely you want to source with these people. And the main reason why is because if you're dealing with, like, say, shelf pulls, know that they have some shelf pull boxes and or lots, large pallets. And I can tell you that a lot of these items are the clearance items that even the retail arbitrage people aren't touching. You know, just because something says clearance on it doesn't mean you're going to make money off of it, which is why you can go to a Walmart or a Target, and you're going to scan those items before you buy it, I hope. And that's what the successful people are doing. So these are those shelf pull items that they can't even sell even at the clearance rate. And so you got to know that. Now, the customer returns items, they state that they have customer returns from Groupon, from Target, from Bed Bath & Beyond. All that's fine and dandy, but you really need to understand what customer return items actually are. Customer return items happens to be the item that a customer may buy, you know, whatever it is. It could be a shirt, it could be an electronics item, and for whatever reason, they decide usually it's a 14-day period, they decide to bring back the item for a refund, okay? And in many cases, that item's opened, item's been used. Sometimes the item doesn't work right. Maybe the user broke it. Maybe it was already in a broken state. It was just a faulty product. Sometimes the item is swapped out. So, you know, they go and buy that new VCR, and the one that they had that's been giving them problems, they throw it right in the box and either send it back or take it back to the store. And so when it gets back to you as in liquidation, you're opening up, you know, what could be broken or swapped out. Now, on the flip side, with customer returns, you have new items. A lot of times those new items have never even been opened. They still have the shrink wrap on them. Sometimes you open the box and the item is still in the internal sealed packaging, which is also a good thing. The estimate in this business is about 75% of the merchandise you receive in a liquidation pallet has functionality. Okay, from my experience, I would say 10 to 20% of the items that you get that are functional are in new sealed condition, with another 10 to 20% of those items being on the flip side, being very used, beat up, not something that you're going to be able to make a good percentage of the MSRP back. And then in the middle, you have your open boxed items that look like they've been used a few days or up to that 14-day maximum. If it's an Amazon return, I think they have like 30 days. So yeah, that's what customers do. They buy items, they use them, they evaluate them, and if they feel like it's a value to them, they'll keep it. Otherwise, they'll send it back in for a refund. And so you then are going to be dealing with these items. And so you just have to learn and know what to look for. I would say when it comes to clothing, I would never want a customer return pallet of any sort, whether it's from bulk.com or anywhere else, because it can have rips, tears, and that type of thing. Shelf pulls are okay. I bought from B-Stock, I bought some Macy's shelf pulls that had name brand. I think the MSRP on each one of them was like $60 to $70 per outfit. And that, our cost was only like $2 a piece on those. So that was a good value. You can take that to Poshmark or to eBay and make some money on that. But we're talking about bulk.com and this email that I received and you received, stating that there's a joint venture between eBay and bulk.com. Well, if you look at the pricing, if you go to the website or if you go to their actual store page and look around, on their store, it looks like they have a little bit better deals than they do have on their website. But, I'm finding that most of their merchandise is anywhere between 22%. Now, this is when you calculate your cost of shipping, and for a box, like a lot that they're selling, I think they're only charging $30 shipping nationwide, which isn't bad. But when you calculate the end item cost plus the shipping, okay, you take that number, let's say it's $200. And let's say the MSRP on that lot is $700, right? That means that if you went into the store and bought every one of those items brand new off the shelf, you would possibly pay $700. Now I say possibly because a lot of these liquidation companies are known for overinflating their MSRPs. So that same item, you could probably go and buy that same lot of $700 worth of merchandise that they're advertising for, brand new at the same store, for about $600. Okay, so there's a lot that goes on in the entire industry. So you have to keep that in mind. Bulk.com isn't the only one who overinflates their MSRP, but it's very misleading. So what happens is you take that $200 cost that you have and you divide that by the MSRP that's listed. So a $200 cost for a $700 MSRP, I believe, is like 35%. And so that's definitely not a good idea, because when you figure in these are customer returns, and even shelf pulls, these are undesirable items in most cases. You have to be careful that you're trying to make a profit, and between shipping, between eBay fees, and trying to be competitive, because these aren't the most desirable items. Now, I have looked at some of these lots from bulk.com, and what they do is sort of tricky, right? They'll throw one or two nice ticket item, like I was looking at an electronics pallet, not a pallet, but a box, and it had I think it was like 35 items in it, and it had a Microsoft Xbox One Elite 2 controller. That was great, like $140, $150, right? But if you look at everything else in that lot, cell phone cases, adapters, cables, and things like that, that are valued at $10 to $20 MSRP. Now remember, that might be a brand new item MSRP, and it could be overinflated. You're not going to be able to get $10 to $20 for that cable. You're going to have to be creative and lot things out. And see, what you find is that you might make $125 on that Xbox controller, but then you're scrambling to make the money just to get back, or maybe make a little bit of money with your $200 cost, let's say, and you may only make $300 on that lot, or and so you did all this. You ordered the stuff, you waited for it to come, you took good photos, you listed every one of these items, and when it's all said and done, after eBay fees and shipping, like me, I do free shipping on small items, you made $100. Now, you calculate all that time you put into it, it's not worth it. I can tell you right now, guys, if you are using bulk.com to source, you are behind your competitors. And so, and I've dealt with bulk.com. Like I said, I bought maybe 3 different things from them like 2 years ago when I first started. And this is a rookie mistake. Unless you could find a great deal, maybe something's been overlooked, I would steer away from them. A lot of these liquidation companies, what they do, and some are doing it more than they used to, and that is they pick through the merchandise they get from these customer returns. So they may buy a truckload of Amazon.com returns, right? And so that's like 30 something pallets. There's the potential to be a lot of big ticket items in there. But if you go to bulk.com, you may not see many at all. You may see some sprinkled here and sprinkled there, but take a closer look at that manifest. You're going to have 1 or 2 big ticket items followed by a bunch of small ticket things that it's going to be hard for you to move. These companies, they don't just throw a lot of these big ticket items into a lot because they want you to prosper. They're trying to move a lot of the smaller ticket items that they can't sell, or it's not worth their time to invest selling on Amazon, eBay, or that type of thing. One company, I did a review on directliquidation.com, and I can tell you what I know for a fact that they do is they go in and they will cherry pick from some, not all the merchandise that they get, and they'll even go as far as trying to refurbish some of the stuff. They sell stuff as refurbished on their website. So instead of having those great Apple products in a large lot of electronics, it's now cherry picked, and it's much fewer items that you can find. So just keep an eye on it. Not to say that you shouldn't be looking at bulk.com, but if that is your primary source of merchandise, you really need to do your homework. Now, I can tell you, I already gave you directliquidation.com. I would say 60% of their lots for me have been fine. It's the other 30-40% that I've had an issue with, which is why I probably won't go back. But you have, your source.com. I believe you have, of course, liquidation.com. Bstock. Bstock will require some type of documentation so that they weed out the buyers who have no intention on paying for anything. Usually a seller's certificate will work, but with Bstock you can get Costco returns, Walmart returns, Home Depot returns, and things of that nature. So from that standpoint, and like I said, Macy's returns. So from that standpoint, that's something to look into, bstock.com. Just so you know what I do, okay, when I'm calculating what's a good buy versus not, okay, I use a 40 by 40 method, okay? So I take the listed MSRP, and I know it could be overinflated, but that's all I have to go by, right? I take the listed MSRP, and I will multiply that, let's say $10,000. I will multiply that listed MSRP by 40%, okay? So that'll give me a figure of $4,000, right? So that's what I need to make on this lot, is $4,000 off of a $10,000 MSRP. Now I want to be in to that lot for 40% of what I'm going to make, so it's worth my time. So I will multiply that $4,000 by 40%, and that is $1,600, right? Which is about 16% of MSRP. So, fortunately, I want to be between 10 and 20% of MSRP, and fortunately, I've been able to find most of my lots between 10 and 15%. There's so much merchandise out there, and you can even find it locally if you have some liquidators in your area. But unless you're dealing with some premium stuff that you've already gone in and priced out and know for a fact, based on the previous solds on eBay or Amazon, you could see that it's sold for a certain amount that's going to make you a certain profit. Do not go above 20% unless you absolutely find. I think I've broken that rule a couple times, and I knew what I was doing after looking and finding out that some others were making a lot more than my projections show. I jumped on the bandwagon and made that work for me. But as a general rule, unless you absolutely know the product you're dealing with, do not exceed 20% MSRP, and that is your cost to buy the item and the cost for it to be shipped to you. Okay, that's the best advice I can give. And the reason why this is such an important topic is this is where you make your money. Sourcing is where you make your money. Okay, you could be the best shipper, you could be the best lister, you could be the best communicator, you could be the best salesman. But if you are paying 25-30% MSRP and your competitor is only paying 15%, they're going to beat you every time, because you might have a low price, they can go lower, and they're going to make more money than you. So this is my advice to you. Hopefully you adhere to it. If you're interested in growing your eBay business and being successful, this is advice I would definitely recommend you follow. But hey, it's your business, but I'm just putting it out there. If you enjoyed this content, please consider subscribing to my channel. We're trying to put out good information, helpful information. We're trying to mix it up a little bit so we're not always on the same topics. But if you like what you see, please subscribe and share this video. Before I go, just know flipping ain't easy, and this is just one more thing you have to deal with to be a successful eBay seller, is the sourcing part of it. But even once you have that mastered, you'll always have something else to deal with. Flipping ain't easy.